sure you get this question a lot, but why did you endorse Donald Trump?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So today I'm covering the legend, Dr. Ben Carson himself. And apparently he sat down with the ladies of the View, and they discussed his endorsement of President Donald Trump. And obviously, President Trump wasn't very popular with those ladies, but obviously Dr. Ben Carson is an avid supporter of Donald Trump, and he's also a Republican at heart, or rather a conservative. So anyways, I'm a big fan of Dr. Ben Carson. Back in high school, or back where I'm from, I actually read his books as a source of inspiration, right? Because I mean, he comes from very humble beginnings. He actually wrote a book called Gifted Hands. And in that book, he chronicles his life, how he became the doctor, to be specific, a surgeon, a neurosurgeon that actually did the first successful separation of Siamese twins. So this is a very brilliant gentleman here. So if you're interested, if you've never heard of him, read about him. I mean, you're going to be impressed all the way through and through. This is a solid American right here. So let's jump into it and see how the discussion goes between him and the ladies of the View.
Well, you know, when I dropped out, my first choice went with me. But I said that.
It was you, right?
The witches at the spew are laughing right now, but Dr. Carson is about to silence these old hags.
You know, I was going to remain neutral. But then I realized that.
Oh yeah, one quick note. So this is a video done by another YouTuber. I want to say the Insightful Report. And she does a very amazing job doing the narration of the entire clip of the View of that episode. So yeah, she did call those ladies hags, and I found that funny. But just because people don't not necessarily agree on a point doesn't mean ad hominem attacks are necessary. So I think it's always good to always defend your point and refrain from attacking a person on a personal level, right? Because I mean, that's what you see a lot these days. Like, let's say if I like baked chicken and another person liked fried chicken, there's no reason why you should attack me personally and call me out of my name because you disagree with the fact that I like baked chicken, right? So I think they do a wonderful job going back and forth. They defend their points individually and as a collective. And obviously, Dr. Ben Carson is greatly outnumbered there, but he does a very amazing job defending his points and why he made the decisions he made. But anyways, don't let me talk your ear off. Let's jump right back into it and see what Dr. Ben Carson has to say.
You know, the political establishment was aligning to protect their turf. And they don't like the ideal of people who are not beholden to them and who cannot be controlled coming into Washington, D.C. And that was one of the reasons they didn't like me very much, but I was easier to get rid of than Donald Trump.
Sir, I hate to ask this question, but you have aligned yourself with the man who has bashed women, made countless racist remarks, and you're Ben Carson. Why would you align yourself with that?
Well, you know, you have to look at the good and the bad. There is no perfect person.
No, I know that.
But you know, you look at when Donald Trump first went down to Palm Beach area, and you know, a lot of the clubs down there would not accept Jews and blacks. He insisted on Jews and blacks and helped to break that open. So has he said some things that I wouldn't say or that you wouldn't say? Of course.
But he was also sued by the Justice Department in the 70s for not allowing black tenants into his properties, and he settled with the Justice Department even though he didn't admit any liability, any wrongdoing. It's very clear to those of us in the law.
Now we know Prosecutor Sunny always has to make herself sound smart.
That means that there was something amiss, and it was a significant consent decree. So the notion that he is
So this lady here, Sunny Hostin, I think I don't know too much of history here. she gets a lot of flack on standing on the points that she stands on, right? Which I think is all right. She believes in what she believes in it, and she believes in it very strongly. I think once again, at the expense of sounding like a broken record, you are allowed to believe in what you believe in, right? And if you can defend that point in a very succinct manner and in a manner that's succinct and that translates like, hey, I really believe in this and I stand by it. I think with time, with the progression of time, people tend to actually start respecting you for your beliefs. So I know a lot of YouTubers say a lot about this lady, and a lot of names, a lot of how many calls to her name is always attached. So I respect her for what she believes in, and she's willing to stand the point, and she doesn't really care what you think about it. So, anyways, let's get back into it and see how that exchange goes.
A fan of the African American community, I think is.
Well, I will put it this way: I have met a lot of his employees, including African Americans, and they have nothing but good things to say. Somebody who's hired as many people as he has hired, and you can find very few people who have anything negative to say.
Well, what about
then you have to look at his family. I always say one of the ways that you measure a person is looking at their children. And how do their children act?
Well, one's a big game hunter. I'm not thrilled with that.
Well, I mean, that's your privilege. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, they have been raised very well. They're very respectful. And, I look at a lot of kids who come from very wealthy families, and I am appalled at what I see. So there is no perfect person, but what I think is really the worst thing that threatens our nation right now is a political class, a ruling class, and they are so threatened by anybody who is not beholden to them, they will do virtually anything. And I think that's what's likely to destroy.
You can say that till the cows come home, sir. This guy is, I'm sorry, he's a racist, and he's not good for the country.
What's the alternative?
And I'm sorry, I don't understand. He's not said about the white supremacists. He hasn't really said to them, hey, listen, that's not what America stands for. He said, it's too much. You're Ben Carson. You're so much better than this.
Well, I am Ben Carson. And that's the very reason I'm doing this, is because I look at the big picture. Could I focus only on racial issues? Absolutely.
I was enjoying the silence at the table until Whoopi ruined it. The women on The View only focus on racial issues.
Could I focus only on women's issues? Absolutely. I could look at any one little thing and pick anybody apart on it. But right now, the nature of our country is at stake. We are on the precipice,
what we're
and we are determining what kind of nation we're going to be. Are we going to be a nation that's upformed by the people or upformed by the government? This is a choice that we are making right now.
Okay, if you're going to overlook what he says about women, if you're going to...
I mean, that's a good exchange there, right? Politics is it's a difficult task, right? Because I mean, not only are you looking into the country as a whole. I mean, you have different races, of course, and you have different issues that are on the table, right? Apart from race, what is important in an election? You have to look at how is it a balanced? I can't find the word right now. Is it a balanced budget, right? I mean, we hear like the national debt to be a hot topic too. So it's. I mean, I respect Dr. Ben Carson for endorsing Trump. President Trump, because I mean he had very valid reasons, right? I mean the ladies of The View, on The View, they tend to be like just tunneled or focused on one particular issue, right? And it usually has to do with like race. And when I say race, it's really about the interaction of black and white people, right? So it is tough, but let's see how Dr. Ben Carson handles this.
Overlook what he says about African Americans. What about what he said about you? He basically said that you had a pathological disease. And wait a minute, hold on. He even compared you to a child molester. Come on. Well, it could be personal even.
If it were about me, I would be offended. But it's about America. We have to save this nation. That is what's important.
But he's a liar. Unless you say that you're a child molester, he's a liar. Do you want a liar for the presidency?
Joy has no shame. Shall we look at the plethora of lies that Biden tells?
I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a very close relationship with the Greek American community, for real. I am Joe Bidenopoulos. I grew up in a heavily Irish Catholic community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and a heavily Italian Polish community. When I say I got raised in the black church, he knows I'm not kidding. The Persian culture is amazing. As a student of Persian culture, I probably went to shul more than many of you. I come out of the black community. The background of my family is Irish American. Not fundamentally unlike the Palestinian people. I might say raised in the synagogues in my state. Everyone in town was either Polish or Italian. I grew up feeling self-conscious. My name didn't end in an SKI. I was raised in a neighborhood where I felt self-conscious. My name didn't end in O. That's kind of how I was raised, like so many Americans of Irish heritage.
In HBCU, in your home state, was the president.
I mean, can't forget about it. That's where I got raised, man. Just like rabbis, synagogues, and Jewish community centers in your hometown, and that's the tradition I got raised. Hard-working people, the middle class, the neighborhoods I got raised in. I was raised on GM. I was raised by Danny Inouye. I was raised by a righteous Christian. I got raised on automobiles.
Tell me a politician who doesn't tell lies.
Abraham Lincoln. I don't know.
A current day politician.
But the lying that he does is continuous. It's on a regular.
I mean, that's hard to argue with, right? All those lies are evident on video, right? So how many places can a person be raised, right? So anyways, I think it's in most elections, at least, with the way the government, the U.S. government system is set up, it's you kind of constantly just picking the lesser of two evils, right? But in the 4 years that President Trump was in power, he did do amazing things. I mean, the economy was progressing. We were moving in a good direction. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about President Trump's former reign. But like I said before, Dr. Ben Carson, that's my guy. I follow his work quite closely. And I think if geniuses do really exist, I think he's one of them. I mean, the idea that you're going against all those ladies, and at times it does get a bit chaotic to where everybody want to chime in and you have to answer these questions on a whim is definitely a difficult task. So anyways, I like the way he handles it, and let's keep going and see how things go.
Basis.
Well, again,
Fact check goes berserk when he talks. He's got a long Pinocchio nose.
What I have to do is look at who is most likely to oppose the ruling class that is ruining our country.
Yeah, well,
who is likely?
He's in the ruling class.
Who is likely?
He is the ruling class.
He said that there would be room for you in his cabinet, in his administration. Did he make any promises to you, and is that behind your endorsement?
No, not at all. And in fact, you know, we agreed that we want to save this nation, particularly for the next generation, and talked about a variety of ways to do it. I'm continuing to work on mechanisms of presenting ladders of opportunity that will allow the downtrodden in our society to climb out of a state of dependency. Right now, the programs that have been put forth by both Democrats and Republicans for the last few decades are doing nothing but creating more dependency. Well, we've gone from a can-do nation to a what can you do for me nation. It's not a good thing, and it's not helping America, and it's not helping the world.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Carson, and we know each other. I will say my husband went to Hopkins Medical School, and you and your wife and your family were always so gracious to us by inviting us into your home many times, fellowship, dinner. And so I know you are a man of family values. What do you make of the fact that Donald Trump just yesterday is attacking Ted Cruz's wife based on her looks?
Look, I do
and
not.
has attacked other women.
I do not condone any of that. I don't condone it from anybody.
But you've endorsed him. Isn't that implicit in that endorsement?
No.
Aren't you
implicit
endorsing
in the endorsement
his behavior?
is not an endorsement of anything that anybody has said or done throughout their lives.
And that's Sunny's second attempt to sound smart, but unfortunately she was shut down with facts. Maybe she was paying attention to learn something.
The reason, again, that I'm endorsing him is because I recognize that we are heading down the exact same path that we have been on all along. These political types are very slick, and they get you to believe that everything's different now. Now we're going to be wonderful people, and we're not going to be doing this to the populace anymore. And that is absolutely not true.
Do you really think?
That is a great point. So I can parallel President Donald Trump with Elon Musk, right? So like either Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, right? I mean, think of politics as maybe comparable to like the world of engineering, right? Because I mean, sometimes industries can get stale, and everybody is just on that symbol saying, "Hey, this is the direction we're taking." Like for the longest time, like if you look at the automotive industry, there was like the talk of, "Hey, we're gonna go electric at some point, fully electric." Obviously, Volkswagen, what's the other one, the American one, GMC, Chevy, they were looking into like alternative ways of transportation without the burden of crude oil, right? I mean, obviously, like those technologies were already existing, like the technology of EVs, right? I mean, those were concepts that have been worked on by Nikola Tesla millions and millions of years ago. Not millions, but years back. But implementation was difficult because, I mean, Nikola became broke. I mean, trying to like further this technology. But then here comes Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is not an engineer himself, but he has the power to woo people into like doing something. Because I think engineers they always need a problem to solve, right? And they need like a leader that's inspiring and can deliver the vision to them. Like, hey, this is my vision. I need you to build it. And I think that's the cornerstone of being a good CEO. And Donald Trump has done that to elections, well, not elections, but to governance and government, right? He came in there and shook things up. He made things uncomfortable, you know? But in the beginning, it seemed as though he was like this villain. But as time went on, because I mean, the only test of anything is time, right? As time went on, people were like, "Hey, this guy is, he's crude in so many ways, but his application of his business sense is actually working." So we saw the economy was actually going up. 401ks were rising, you know, until we got hit with 2020. But anyways, let's get back into it. I did like that point quite a bit. I did like the way Dr. Ben Carson drove that one home. And I like the fact that even though there's quite a bit of personal attacks there, he keeps the momentum of the conversation going. He's not stuck on the little things, right? So anyways, let's continue.
That Trump is correct in saying that people will, you know, be up in arms, quote unquote, riot. He said that if they did not choose him as the nominee.
I don't think that there would be a physical riot, but I think it would absolutely destroy the Republican Party. There is no way that people who are coming in droves now to support Trump enthusiastically are just going to say, "Oh, well, whoever you pick is going to be fine." Is
that responsible of him to say, you know, they'll be rioting? I mean, sort of throw gasoline on the fire like that? Is that responsible?
That's really not the point. I mean, we can look.
But what's the point?
Well, no, we can look at all these things that politicians and people in the political sphere say.
Yeah.
Or we can say, what are the true issues? It's sort of like what's going on with some of these rallies, where, you know, we've seen some violence.
All of his antics are covering over the true issues. That's the problem. His antics are covering over the true issues.
Right. The true issue is the First Amendment of America and the freedom of speech. And we need to be looking at those kinds of issues. Everybody needs to be looking at those issues, not just one side or the other side. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at these rallies that are going on, do you ever see that happening in a Clinton or Bernie Sanders rally?
They're not promoting.
Why not?
No, you don't.
Why not?
Why not?
Because people on the right don't do that. People on the left do that.
And people on the left don't say, you know, go punch him if you want to, or I take him out on a stretcher. I haven't heard that on the left.
Right. This is what people on the left actually say.
I don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
You're missing my point.
What's the point?
What is the point?
Here's the big secret about women.
Self-righteousness is failing, right?
We want you to flirt with us. We even want you to get sexual.
Sorry about that.
You're missing the point. The point.
Anyways, back to my point. It's the hypocrisy has been shown there. You know, I think on both sides of the fence, either you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think it's always good to defend your point or stand your stance steadfast without being personal in anything you do. So the idea there that she could show the dichotomy really, or maybe the pretense of like Joy saying something like that, and there's like a plethora of video evidence or footage saying, hey, these people, they do say these things, and it's just not isolated. It's like anybody that's a Republican. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not choosing sides as to which parties I belong to, but I just kind of maybe provide like an alternative there, or maybe play devil's advocate and show that, hey, these things happen on both sides of the fence, and therefore we should not pretend like this is an issue that's only isolated to Republicans. But anyways, let's get back into it.
The point is that we have to focus on the things that are essential to America, like First Amendment rights, not personalities. That's the problem. We always want to focus on personalities.
But you've met with Donald Trump behind closed doors. Have you seen any evidence that he's really not the bombastic, sort of baiting personality?
You said there was two.
Are there two Donald Trumps?
There are.
Yeah. Well, which one is running for president? Which one?
Who have you seen? Tell us who you have seen.
Well, I have seen a man who's actually willing to sit down and engage in deep, serious conversations about the problems that affect our country.
Well, why is he holding out on America?
I have seen a man who actually recognizes that he doesn't know everything.
And he doesn't think that's going to work in his election if he shows that side of him? Or is that more of like a male thing I have to show? Yeah, is that more of a male thing?
I think you're going to see more of that side of him coming up.
So he
I
might
think,
be, so in fact,
did you
what
notice,
you're saying
did
is
you
he might
notice
be,
in the
he
last,
might be fooling his own constituency.
Did you notice in the last debate that he wasn't nearly as bombastic?
Yes.
Did you notice that?
I did.
He's transitioning now into general election.
But sir,
and I think you're going to continue to see that.
I'm sorry.
But again, there's no perfect person.
So,
you need
no,
to
there isn't a
that.
perfect person, but if you're running for president of the United States of America, a country which has said to other countries, bring me the folks that you need who need freedom. We're here for you. When you talk about Mexicans being rapists and murderers, when you talk to women, if he had spoken to your wife the way he's spoken to some of these women, would you take that, sir?
Let me tell you something. When you're very nice, you're very respectful, you talk about the real issues and not get into all these issues, where does it get you? It gets you where it got me. Nowhere, okay?
I love how Dr. Carson shut these old hens down. He didn't even give them an opportunity to do what they love to do, which is race bait and Trump hate. Instead, he brought attention to the bigger picture. And did you notice in the beginning he said DC doesn't want anyone in that they can't control? That's why they hate Donald Trump so much, because he cannot be controlled. And Biden, well, he makes the perfect puppet. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this, so be sure to leave them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give
Definitely. That's at some point it's difficult to watch, but he does have good points there. I think to worry about how nice a person to you is time wasting, right? I think you have to look at people that actually get the job done. Obviously, I respect the idea of always falling within the bell curve, right? But people that do impact change are usually in the extremes, right? Not the extremes, I would say on one end, on the higher end of the bell curve, right? So like, yes, people like that are very particular, and they do things in a way that a regular person wouldn't understand. So when I talk about this, I'm talking about Dr. Ben Carson, right? I mean, in this book, he chronicles how he struggled with anger, and now he overcame that anger, and they channeled that anger into being what he was, an amazing neurosurgeon, right? So he's a intelligent guy, you know, but I don't think his intelligence really translated into politics. I think there he was, like he said it, he was nice, and he spoke to people in a nice way. He was honest. Because, I mean, those things, to be honest, don't really get you anywhere in politics, right? Because I think in politics, you have to be able to woo people. I don't think if you're looking for, like, a messiah-like figure, you're not going to see it in Dr. Ben Carson. I mean, if you look at Barack Obama was very charismatic. He still is very charismatic. And that's what helped him move people over to his side, right? I mean, during his 8 years of tenure, he did a lot of good things, and not so many good things, right? Obviously, anyways, let's not talk about that. That's maybe a topic for another day. But anyways, I wanted to maybe showcase Dr. Ben Carson and how he handled all these differing opinions and all this almost condemning language. But I think he did it with class and he did it with dignity, right? So anyways, I think that speaks for itself. And I also want to thank Insightful Report. I think she did an amazing video there. And also thank for letting me use it. But anyways, if you like content like this, I mean, watch out for me. I'm tending to maybe lean into more political kind of content. I like that because, I mean, it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you abreast of what's going on with the world and the U.S. Altogether. So anyway, if you like stuff like this, I mean, give me a like, give me a subscription, and thanks for joining me again, and see ya.